the Florida Writer Podcast, a discussion about writing and other things.
Hello, and welcome to another edition of the Florida Writer Podcast with your host, Alison Nissen. And today I'm lucky enough to be with Julie Ryan McGue. Julie, could you give us a 60-second elevator pitch about who you are and what you write?
Okay. I'm Julie, and I'm an American writer. So I live in Florida for most of the year. I write mostly nonfiction. I wrote a memoir called Twice a Daughter, which came out in May of 21. I'm a twin. So the story is about my twin sister and I reaching 50 years old, and I have health issues, and I have to research my medical history, and it's a 5-year story about all the things that happen, the crazy things, the ups and downs, and the good stuff that happens at the end, finding family that I didn't even know I had. I also write a blog called That Girl, This Life, which you can access on my website, and it's really anything that strikes my fancy. I like to write about family, but I also write about moments that, unbelievable, crazy stuff that happens to people. I'm from Chicago originally, and I have a marketing degree from Northwestern, which makes the marketing of my books and stuff really fun for me. So.
Well, we'll count you as one of the lucky ones. most people of all the process for writing, marketing is their least favorite part.
Yeah, I find it fascinating to see what efforts I make and then how it affects book sales or signups on my website.
Oh, that's great. Can we give our listeners any tips?
I think you have to have a curiosity and willingness to try little things. I do a lot of book clubs. So I noticed right before I'm going to do a book club that my audiobook sales spike or my paperback. And then afterwards, I'm always fascinated to see what happens with that. I love checking my reader reviews on Amazon and seeing what people write. And I love to communicate with my readers. I'll get an email chain going back and forth with somebody. Mostly it's adoptees or birth parents or adoptive parents. So people in my adoption world, and we just exchange a lot of stuff. It's awesome because it's a lonely experience, and to identify with people that are in it makes you feel less lonely.
So you obviously like the marketing part. Let's talk about your writing journey. What type of writing energizes you or exhausts you?
Well, I write, as I said, memoir. So I'm getting ready to write a second memoir, or halfway through it. It's more of a coming of age story. It's a lot of things that happen before Twice a Daughter. And then I write a lot of essays. I've had plenty of essays published about just life experiences and family, crazy moments. I don't really write any fiction yet because I feel like my life has given me so much material. There's still so much to say.
Well, that's great. When you talk about writing about family matters, does that get tricky for you?
It doesn't. Usually I check with people before I'm going to print something. I have 4 grandsons who I spend a lot of time with. They're always doing funny things. Like one of them I took to the car wash, and he was really excited about it. And when we got to the car wash, he was shaking, and I had to hold his hand through the whole car wash. And I asked his dad later, I said, I hope I didn't screw him up. He goes, no, he likes it, but it makes him anxious. So, that was a perfect essay to write about anxiety, what makes you anxious, and can you like something even though you're anxious about it? So those little family moments give me lots of material.
Well, have you been on any literary pilgrimages?
I have. One of my most fun was traveling down to San Miguel de Allende, and I did the writers' conference there. Before COVID. So 2019, and I met my publisher there, and that was really fruitful to me. Brooke Warner runs She Writes Press. So I have a really fond memory for San Miguel. I've also done the Story Studio conference in Chicago. They have a great program that's like a week long in August. And I participated in the Chicago's Printer Row Lit Fest too, which was really fun. So most things have been virtual, but I did go to Santa Fe last fall and to the Her Spirit conference, which is put on by Story Summit, and it was fabulous too.
Now, let's talk a little bit about your personal pilgrimage to writing your memoir. Okay. How did that start? What made you put pen to paper?
Kind of interesting. I have a psychology background, so I thought I was going to be a psychologist. So I studied psychology all the way through college, thought I was going to go to grad school. And I got a job offer from a company that was going to send me for my MBA. So I ended up switching gears and doing that for a long time, raised a family. And then this adoption search story happened to my sister and I, and everybody that I told about it said, "Oh God, I hope you're writing about this. It's just too incredible." And so I started taking memoir writing classes in downtown Chicago through the University of Chicago, and some online classes with Brooke Warner and Linda Joy Myers, who's a part of the National Association of Memoir Writers. So I was in my 50s when I started doing all that, and launched a blog and started, setting up my author platform. So it's really been the last 15 years that I've gotten into this whole writing world. And one of the things that's great about the publisher I use for my book is they have extensive Facebook private groups, and we have critique groups. So I've just met people from all over the country, and I just feel so connected to my writer friends, which has been a blessing.
What advice have they given you that have helped you maintain your path?
I had a personal tragedy happen this year, and I lost my husband, who I'd been married to for 37 years, and they wouldn't let me stop writing. So I continued to meet with my writing group every 2 weeks and chunk out material for them to read. Some of it wasn't very good, but it gave me a sense of purpose every day, and all that accountability of meeting with people that you like and who are kind and gentle with your writing. So I'm really grateful that I had my writing group this year.
No, that is super. When you sit down to write your memoir, parts of it, the bits and pieces and all that, is it difficult to go through some of those periods?
It is. And I find that I jump around a lot in the storyline. And that's okay. Cobbling it together later has worked for me before. So I'm writing about a difficult chapter right now. I had a youngest sister died suddenly, and I've been putting this chapter off forever. But I sat down on an airplane ride and just dove right in because I had no distractions. There was nobody that was going to take me out of it. And I pressed through some really tough moments. And I found out afterwards when I rewrote it that so many things came out of that episode of pressing through this difficult chapter. And now I know I can do that without, causing myself 3 days of eating a bag of chips or something.
I like the eating the bag of chips. I think we writers tend to have our vices.
Yeah, we do. Salty things or chocolate.
So you began to write, you put your book together, you found a publisher, you are a marketing person, as you've already mentioned. And what else has surprised you about being a writer?
How much I like it. I really like the deadlines. I find that, like 3 or 4 days before my blog is due, I've been thinking about something that I want to write about, and then I just sit down and get it done. And I'm not nervous about, I mean, it's just my own self-imposed deadline. But I find that I write well to a deadline, and not everybody does, but that has surprised me.
Julie, have you ever written with a pseudonym?
Oh, that's a great question. So when I was writing my memoir, I have a birth name, obviously, because I was adopted. And I thought, this is a really sensitive story. I was kind of new to writing things. So I played around with the idea of writing under my birth name. And then I ultimately, my publisher and my publicist convinced me that, you shouldn't. You've already got this blog. People aren't going to know who you are. And so I didn't. I published under my own name. And I think that was a big bonus, because a lot of people that Google, you're looking for somebody and they realize, oh my God, she wrote this book. I got to get it. I got to read it. So I think it was a big bonus to have written under my real name.
Well, that's a challenge when you're writing a memoir, because in some ways, when you can take yourself out of the story, but you're still telling your story, it feels a little easier.
Right. Well, when I first started writing the first memoir, we were coached to write it like no one's going to read it. And that helped a lot. So I didn't hold anything back. I wrote it the way I thought I wanted to write it. And then when I went through editing with an editor, we took some stuff out, or we changed some things. Interestingly enough, most of the people that I write about in my first book didn't ask me to change their names. A couple people did, like my birth mom. I changed her name. Obviously, all my immediate family members, they were fine with me writing about them. So the other interesting thing that I didn't know was you could write anything you want about somebody that's deceased. They don't have to give you permission. Nobody can give you permission. But when I write about my birth father in my first book, I did change his name because my siblings that I find as part of the story, they wanted their names changed. So, so it's good that I didn't change my name. That would have been even more complicated.
And how did you go about asking if they wanted to have their name changed?
So I had the final draft, and I sent them each a copy of the PDF, and they read it. And there were parts that I was worried about. Like my adoptive mom wasn't initially very supportive of me going down this path to find my birth parents. And I was surprised. She ended up liking the book. She didn't ask me to change anything. And I think that's what you don't know. And I certainly have writer friends that, they've been asked to take people out of the story or change scenes or whatever. I was fortunate that I think I presented most people in the best possible light, and I didn't have to change anything.
This has been such a fantastic conversation. Julie Ryan McGue, how can people get in touch with you?
I have a website. It's www.juliemcgueauthor.com. You can access my blogs there, sign up for the mailings. There's information about my book there. And it's all in one spot.
Well, Julie, are you ready to switch to our rapid fire questions?
Sure.
What has been the most adventurous thing you've ever done?
I climbed Machu Picchu with my husband, and at altitude without enough water. And I felt like once we got to the top of Machu Picchu and looked down around the jungle surrounding us, I couldn't believe that we were there and that we actually did it.
What sounds like what a trip, right?
Right.
How did you ring in the new year this year?
I went to a concert, and Sting was the performer.
Ooh, how exciting.
That was really cool.
And what do you plan to have for dinner tonight?
Salmon.
Ooh, that's great. Well, Julie Ryan McGue, thank you so much for stopping by.
Thank you for having me, Allison. It's been fun.
This has been another edition of the Florida Writer Podcast with your host, Alison Nissen. Alison out. Woo! We're all done.
Okay, well, that was easy enough.
Julie Ryan McGue is an American writer. Her award-winning memoir, Twice a Daughter, A Search for Identity, Family, and Belonging, released in May 2021. It is about the 5-year search that she and her twin sister undertook to find their birth relatives. On her weekly blog, That Girl, This Life, Julie writes about finding out who you are, where you come from, and making sense of it. Her work has appeared in the Story Circle Network Journal, Brevity, Import, Adoption.com, Lifetime Adoption, Adoption and Beyond, and Severance Magazine. Her personal essays have also appeared in anthologies, such as Real Women Write. Julie holds a BA of Psychology from Indiana University and a Master's in Marketing from Kellogg Graduate School of Business, Northwestern. She splits her time from Northwest Indiana and Sarasota, Florida. Julie is currently working on her second memoir, a collection of personal essays. She serves on the board of directors for the Center for American Family Building. For more information about Julie, visit her at juliemcgueauthor.com. For more information about the Florida Writers Association, visit us at floridawriters.org. Until next time.